All right, hello everyone. We are setting up our bag for hole number 4 of the pro tournament here. And here you can see I'm going with Big Topper Berserker. Now, one of the reasons that I go with Big Topper is because it unlocks very early. Now, if you don't have Berserker balls, you might just be able to get this away with a Titan, but it might be close. Like, it might just barely crawl onto the island. And you're probably costing yourself, some yardage. But, the advantage that it has is over, say, something like a extra mile is the top spin. So you'll see I have quite a bit more top spin, which gives me that possibility to hopefully get to the green. So you're going to see that I'm going to use all my full top spin and go full overpower. And you can see kind of where I'm setting up. I'm aiming to land it up into that right zone. So I'm looking at a line that's kind of drawn over in the direction of the way the wind is pointed, kind of into the opening fairway up there. And I'm going to need to go very, very full with my power, and you can see what I'm doing with my curl to bring it back, because you can see that when I aim over here, it's going to land very right. And here you can see that it's just going to come back with the Berserker ball right into the middle. And you can see that I get it way far down here, much more farther than I'll be able to do with an extra mile, apocalypse, anything of that nature, because it's going to have that extra top spin. So, the only way I could replicate this, which, in pro division, chances are, very few people have, a POC 7 or Thor 7 or 6. Those are going to be the only 3 other clubs that you could replicate what I just did and actually get it down that far with a pro wind otherwise. So if you have, turbo or snow globe, you'll hit it even farther than I just did and potentially have a putt with the Big Topper approach. But in any regard, at the very end of this, I will give you guys the shot simulator. So I will go to the website to just kind of show you how it matches up. But let's first try to work through this. Here you can see here's max club. Here is roughly half club. So I'm going to pretty much for the most part set up at half club here. And here with an Endbringer 6, that's going to be about 2 per ring for my adjustments. So, half the wind, I play half the adjustment. But what I'll usually do for this is, to account for side wind effect, you're going to see me overplay the wind. So instead of going like 3.5 rings, you're going to see me go 4.5 rings for my ring adjustment. It has to do with just wind effect and pushing the ball farther than it should need to go. So there you can see with the 4.5, it just kind of goes straight into the hole, and you'll give yourself a very easy albatross chance for this hole. So many people are going to be getting this hole, especially if you have Berserkers. And in terms of the grand scheme of things with my guide, it's 1 for a qualifier, it's 2 for an opening round, and it's 2 for a weekend round. So you're looking at 5 Berserkers you need. But the goal is to get like 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 albatrosses with the utilization of the Berserker ball. So it directly relates, there's a strong correlation to it giving you a very easy, kind of straightforward albatross approach. But in any regard, as I mentioned, I was going to go to this site. This is Golf Clash Notebook. Ian and I have just recently developed this tool for you guys, which basically plays out a simulation of how various different levels, and you can see I just use a Big Topper power 5 ball, and I went full power. So it's going to show you to replicate my land zone, you would need to hit right around 261.4 yards is kind of what you're looking for as your max. Now, keeping in mind that I had a 7.5 wind, your wind might vary. Maybe you have more, maybe you have less. Hopefully you don't have less, because you could see that, I had room to land longer. If you guys want to replay my shot, I can land it technically probably about 10 yards longer on this line The only difference is, I can't get my big topper out there. I could get an extra mile out there, but it's not going to have the top spin. So net overall, I'm still going to end up out driving an extra mile. But let's just say, hypothetically, you do only have an extra mile and you want to try to at least replicate my land zone at the very least. And as I mentioned, you do need to, let's say you have an extra mile 6, for example. So in terms of, like I mentioned, you can probably go full. You can see full power. It's only going to be 6 yards farther. I'm sure you had 6 yards. I mean, you probably had 15 yards in front of where I landed to where it could technically land about. But however, if you wanted to try to match up and simulate, a similar land zone, you can see in terms of the color of the needle, the amount that you need to pull back, and you can see that these two are equivalent shots needle-wise, and you can see the yardages work out to the same. So this simulation tool is going to be very useful for you, but do keep in mind of the subtle differences between wind angle when using this tool. You could have a 5-6 wind for that berserker ball, like 5.96, or it could be as much as 8 something, like 8.1, 8.2. And it's going to directly, I could have potentially hit a longer drive by getting a little bit more wind, or at the very same time, I could have, left it at kind of max wedge if I would have got the worst case scenario wind. So you do need to keep in mind wind effect, but overall, I think you guys will really like that tool. It's on Golf Clash Notebook under the tools section. So hopefully you guys can easily find that and be on the look. If you guys need additional help on how to use that site, you can search in my channel. I have 2 guides already. If you just search for my overpower guides, and I've put together, 30-40 minute tutorial videos as to just using that site. So feel free to check those out and be on the lookout for hole 5 coming up.